What's going on, guys, and welcome to July's episode of Plus Club, the show where we play the games offered on PlayStation Plus throughout the month, and at the end of the month, we talk about them like a book club. My name's Seth, and joining me today, of course, is Chevy. Chevy, we just played NHL 24, Among Us, and Borderlands 3. Are you excited to talk about those games, and how are you doing?
Doing good. Definitely have some opinions on some of the games, and some of the games might be a little on the lukewarm side. We'll see. But yeah.
I am excited to hear what you think about Borderlands 3, as that is a game that you put off because it was locked on Epic Games when it released. That was a game you wanted to play, and you refused to play it because you don't want to be forced to play games on Epic.
I just don't want to own games everywhere, man.
Yeah. Am I representing your opinion correctly? I don't want to...
It's not like super heavy. I just,
Yeah.
I don't even really have like a hard stance other than laziness. I don't want multiple launchers.
Yeah.
So.
And then by the time it did finally come out on Steam, you were just kind of like, the hype kind of fizzled.
Well, and I had heard some stuff about it, and I was just like, okay.
Might have heard some stuff from me.
Yeah.
And then, I'm also, I think it'll be fun to review Among Us. Have we reviewed Among Us before? A long time ago?
I know we've played it before, but I don't know if we...
Was that for the show?
It had to have been, but it might have been like a... I don't know. It was either someone's pick for Game of the Month, or it was like one of those like multiplayer stream situations. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't if anybody who watches the channel and let us know, because it's been a while. I don't remember why we played Among Us before, but we're going to review it today. So, NHL will be an interesting one to talk about. As of right now, the games for PlayStation Plus for August are not announced yet. I'm sure by tomorrow or something they'll be announced.
Announced by Tuesday, I'm sure.
So we can't talk about that, but we'll know soon enough, and we'll let you know if you guys don't already by the time we find out. So, and then also, quick reminder, Game of the Month is Elden Ring. We will do that soon, the review for that, and put it out this week. I am playing the DLC. I don't think you've gotten into it, so you'll be reviewing your experience with the game itself. I'll be doing the game itself too. I can review that, but my experience with the DLC. So that'll be fun. Look forward to that, guys. I know people still all the time ask me what I think of Elden Ring, so it'll be nice to just have a fucking review for it. So
kind of crazy with 25 plus million copies sold. So
yeah, for sure. All right, so since we don't have games to talk about coming out in August, let's talk about the games we did play, and those games were NHL 24, Among Us, and Borderlands 3. I think we should probably start with NHL 24. If you didn't get a chance to play it, it's an NHL game. If you don't know what NHL is, I think it's National Hockey League.
Probably.
That's my guess. It's a hockey game. You play as characters with sticks. You ice skate. And you hit a puck around, hopefully getting it into a goal. There is a giant mech in those goals that is there to block you, aka just the goalie. He's just a normal person. For anybody who doesn't understand that I'm joking, he's just a human. I don't know shit about hockey, which will be very apparent when we talk about our reviews. But yeah, in it offers online, offline modes. It has a career mode. It has something called HUT mode that I played. It has like free play. It has any other modes that I'm missing. It's got training that's fucking terrible. It's got a bunch of hockey modes. You get to play like full team hockey. There's like 3v3 hockey you can play. In the career mode, at the very least, you do like progress. There's choices to be made. There is perks and stats you can change as you play through it, making your own character. And yeah, it's hockey. You guys know hockey. We both played it. Let's start with your impressions of NHL 24 in July.
Okay. Like you kind of said, don't know anything about hockey. I'm not big into sports at all to begin with, but there are some that I have a baseline understanding of the rules, either because I tried them when I was a child, or they're just a little more culturally relevant for where I live.
I didn't realize how little I knew about hockey.
Yeah, I don't know anything apparently.
Playing this game, I was like, holy shit, I don't know how hockey works. Yeah. I thought it was pretty straightforward, but like, you'll sit on a bench and wait, and then you'll come out and someone will switch with you, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it's like a regular part of the match, at least in the career mode. Like, you're playing, and it's like, you need to go sit down. I'm like,
I didn't
Okay.
see a lot of that, mostly because I was so bad at this game that my people were basically always on the bench anyways, because I was just beating the shit out of the other team.
Mm.
So in my attempt at defense, I was getting penalized left and right, and I just never really got a good grasp on it. So
I got penalized once because I fucked with the goalie or something. I had to go sit in there for like 2 minutes or
I
something.
had a constant 3 people on the bench from penalties. So it
Interesting.
just didn't end because I just couldn't get my head around it. So, so the controls are fine. The gameplay is fine to my knowledge as someone ignorant on the sport and the series. The graphics are fine. Like everything about it, from my perspective of it, is like it seemed pretty fine. The rules went over my head, and so like I was having a hard time, obviously, keeping people on the, you call it a court or field? Like what is it?
Hockey
I'm gonna say
rink.
Rink, right, whatever. Keeping people in play, I just couldn't seem to do that because I was too busy tripping the other people or like running into the goalie or whatever.
When you hit R1, you can pull your stick out and you can try to hit their puck. And one time I did that, but I hooked a guy's leg and tripped him,
That's pretty much my constant.
and I got in trouble for that too.
Yeah. That was pretty much my life, just tripping people. So,
It is satisfying though when you do line up to the side as you're going at them and you're able to hit the puck out from their trajectory. I don't know what the fuck it's called, but wherever the hell they're going. If you actually do get that to happen, yeah. One time I tripped a dude and I was like, I don't feel bad. Fuck him.
yeah. I also just to emphasize how bad I was at this, I didn't score once. Couldn't.
I did, and it felt really good every time it happened.
I bet.
It was the only time in a
I was
sports game
struggling.
where when I did get in there, I was like, holy shit. Like, and the game has a really good system of it happens, and then it shows in super slow-mo different angles of when it happened. And I'm actually really surprised on how detailed the movements and the puck physics and everything are. I was like, they actually put some fucking work
Wish
into
I could have
this.
seen it.
Yeah.
So yeah, moral of the story is I suck at hockey. Probably in real life too.
The game doesn't have simple controls either, and the training is terrible in this game. It's
Yeah,
really fucking bad.
Was stupid and just went straight into quick match. So
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just gonna dive in, screw it, figure out worst case scenario, I lose, right? So, which was what happened. And then I also ran into an issue mid game where my game crashed. I'm not going to necessarily blame the game. Sometimes it happens for some
If it's
reason.
happening regularly, I could see docking points for that, but sometimes that shit happens.
It happened. I sent in, the error report or whatever. So, but yeah, I mean that's basically my entire experience with the game. I didn't really mess around with too many of the modes just because I didn't really know what I was doing. So I just kind of felt like I'd be doing the same thing over and over again at that point. So overall, everything seemed fine. I'm just ignorant. So
Yeah. This game is the second game recently, unless you have anything else to say,
I'm good.
that has reminded me that these games have been around for so long that they just kind of expect the people who are going to buy it again, and they're catering to them, which they should. I think people should cater to their main fans. A lot of movies don't seem to do that. Movie series, they're always trying to get new people. But so much so that going into these games, as a person who does not play these types of games, I am always overwhelmed by the amount of menus, how to locate the training, which is on the third tab in the more section. Not hard to find, but for a new player, I'm like, they gotta have a training section somewhere. And I went and found it. I'm like, okay, here it is. And then doing the training, which I'm saying training because it's not necessarily like a strong tutorial. It's just training. Maybe there's a tutorial. Let me know in the comments. I didn't see it. In which you can play through certain scenarios and practice, which I did. The game also has the buttons floating above your head, at least for me it did, of what I can press in certain situations. And
I don't think I did.
I had to kind of piece all that together. Well, it's faded out most of the time until you can do it, and then it'll pop up real quick. You got to kind of pay attention to it when you're playing. But maybe that was just some settings I had on too. I don't know. But yeah, all in all, the training was not good. And these games are not welcoming to new players. But like I said, it makes sense that they're not because they're not thinking about getting new people to play them. I'm sure they want that, but you can tell they're just they're making these games over and over and over again, the baseball games, the basketball games, the soccer games, and they're just let's add new features for the people who've been playing them. But They're not focused on like, in-depth tutorials. Still, the best one I've seen in any of these sports games was one of the soccer games we played. I think it was one of the last FIFAs, the actual FIFAs, not
The last actual license
in
game.
which it had like this very drawn out like story that was playing out, and it was teaching you how to play. And I was like, this is actually engaging, and it's helping me a lot. So I would like to see that more in these kind of games. This game was like, hey, go fucking figure it out over here until you know how to play. So I did that. I tried to play this game 3 different times this month. The first 2 times I would start playing, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know what's going on. I don't know anything about NHL. And then I stopped playing. I'm like, I'll figure this out later. Eventually, I finally sat down and played it. Learned enough to figure out how to play the game. It was a lot of trial and error, learning through failure, but I was able to do it. End up hopping into career mode, in which you make a character, you pick a team that you want to be on. There are points where you can be traded, which is interesting. There's a meeting I had with the manager or whatever of my team, and it's like, do you want to be traded or do you want to stay? And I was like, I'm gonna stay. I never even asked to be traded, but it's interesting. That gives you kind of that experience. When the press talks to you, you can choose to talk about yourself or your team, and that'll up your brand versus up your team stuff. So I thought that was kind of fun. The game itself, I actually think plays really well once you learn how to play it and the buttons. I was actually really impressed with in comparison to other sports games we've played. The graphics I thought were decent. The animations I thought were really good. There's some of these they're kind of hit or miss, because some of them I look at them like, this looks this bad nowadays. Like, I thought they always are like touting real physics, sweat effects, hair effects, all that stuff in sports games.
Right.
And then some of them will look bad. This one's actually pretty good. I also thought the physics were really good too, especially when you watch in slow-mo what's happening. It's like, oh wow, there's like the whole engine here, like really animating this out really well. And a lot of really cool visuals too, like when you're getting replays or right before you're about to play, it'll show like above shots, and it'll show like a player's face in the ice and stuff like that. They did a lot of really cool detailed stuff that I liked. And even though I also wasn't very good at this game, but I did score multiple times, it rewards you for a bunch of different stuff, which I think is really smart too. So like if I pass to somebody, it would reward me for that with XP, or like if you make it, you get XP. But even trying to shoot, if you shoot, it'll give you XP for that.
Sounds like I should have played career mode, because I just played quick match.
yeah. It was a lot more engaging. And then between when you had to go like sit down on the bench, being vague on the way I'm talking about this because I don't know the words for all this stuff. When you're sitting on the bench, your coach will talk to you, and every once in a while there's decisions to be made on how you want your team to play. And then it'll also start grading you. It'll grade you on your offense, your defense, and your teamwork. And so I had like a C- on teamwork, an A on offense, and like a B+ or B- or something like that on defense. And then you have an overall grade, which is like C+ or something, because the other one was fucking me up. But as I played, I kept coming back and looking at that, and they were like changing actively. So that was kind of interesting too. And you see, as you're playing, it's like telling you all the stuff that's happening. Like, oh, nice pass, nice shot. One of them is like smart shot, which I thought was kind of cool. And I always got that if I like slid in front of the goalie and I waited and I had someone shoot the puck to me, and then I'd hit it. And even if I didn't make it, it'd be like smart shot, because I was using the pass to try and take the shot. It's also interesting too that the other modes, whoever has the puck you play as, I think that's probably what you experienced. Mm-hmm. And in this, it doesn't happen. You play your character. I think
I would have preferred that.
And I liked that because it was actually, the AI is actually pretty smart. Like they're playing with or without me, but they would pass to me without me even requesting it. But you can request. If there's no clear shot, they won't pass it to you. But if you're like out in the open, they'll sometimes pass it to you if you hit R2. But even if I was out in the open and they saw it, they would pass it to me because they knew I could get the shot. And I kind of appreciated that AI. I thought it was pretty smart. And I do prefer just being one of the players and not just being every player. I get if you're like super into hockey and you want to make every decision, you want to be on the puck at all times. It makes sense why they do that. But I kind of like just being one of the team members and actually being strategic with AI. But it's kind of cool. Kind of liked it. So yeah. And then the other mode I played, I think I did one free play, but there's nothing really to talk about there. But I played hut mode, which I don't know what that is. Let me know in the comments if you can like explain that to me. But I think it was like 3v3. And it was another mode where if you're on the puck, you're playing. Like anybody who's on the puck, you're playing as. It was fine. It felt like hockey, so I don't know what the fuck the mode's for. Like, it's called HUT mode, so I was like, okay, I'll
Maybe
play
it's
that.
faster.
Maybe. There's a mode, too, that was online that's supposed to be like rapid fire. Like, I think it's supposed to be like street hockey or something. I don't remember. I didn't get a chance to play that. But, yeah, overall, I had kind of rough early experience of this game and ended up enjoying the game. Probably more than most of the sports games we've played so far. I also like there's a rough element to the game. Like people will like knock you down and you'll knock people down, and sometimes there's like a slow-mo replay of like someone knocking you down, which is just wild looking because the physics that makes the game feel a little more aggressive, which I like as well. So yeah, I think I overall liked the game, even though I am probably going to dock at some points for not being very welcoming to new players. I'm kind of sick of seeing that in these sports games, and like I said before, I understand why they're doing that, but it kind of sucks. I hate coming into these sports games and just feeling completely lost, and like it's like walking into a building and looking for someone to help you, and like at a store or something like that, and there's nobody to be fucking found. And you're just like, and like that's what I feel like when I play sports games. Just coming like, what am I doing? So it'd be nice. I think we said this in the last sports game we played. If something popped up and went like, hey, are you new?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And it's like, okay, check out this tutorial. Thanks. But they don't do that. So, yeah, overall, I kind of had fun with the NHL. It's not the best game ever, but pretty decent. So, anything else? Let's jump into recommendations. I would recommend it to people who like hockey. If you like hockey, you already play this. But if you like sports, you probably already play this. But maybe you're not a hockey guy, I'd recommend you check it out. It's pretty fun. I think that's it.
I think it's pretty hyper specific.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend this to like, oh, you like video game? No, like you should either you're interested in hockey, you should play it, or if you're into sports and you don't play hockey for some reason or you're not interested in it, check it out. You might like it. Other than that, though, it's sports. So, loose recommendation for people who aren't into sports, like me and you. We're not really big sports guys. You might have some fun with it. So if you're kind of curious about it, check it out. Yeah, so let's jump into grades.
Okay.
I'll grade first.
Okay.
I'm going to give this... I'm going to give it a B-. I think the graphics are good. I think it's a completely fair feeling game. I think the physics are good. The gameplay's good. There's a lot offered in the menus, a lot of things to do. Career mode seems robust. I like that there's progression. I'm going light B-, just because that training thing is really annoying, and it felt like a burden for me to get into this game. I'm like, I have to play this for this month to be able to talk about it, and it's kind of a slog to get to the point where I could comfortably actually play the game to be able to analyze what I'm doing in the game and be able to talk about it. So that was really fucking annoying. I would love to see a like proper, well-made tutorial for new players. But other than that, I think it's a pretty solid game. I don't know if this is a good hockey game or not for people who play the hockey games, but it felt like it was, to me, at least. So, yeah, light B-.
I'm just going to say that in my ignorance, everything felt fine. And so I'm going to give it a C+.
Okay.
It was a little above average, I'd say.
Better than passing.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, let us know in the comments what do you guys think about NHL 24. Did you play? Did you not play? If you didn't play it, why didn't you play it? And if you did play it, what'd you think of it? Do you play these games normally? Was this you trying it out for the first time, or you've dabbled a little bit? What's some of your favorite modes? What's your favorite team? I don't know anything about the teams. I picked Bruins because Sarah told me to.
I picked home team.
Yeah. Is that Bruins?
Kraken, I think.
Kraken, yeah. Yeah, she had me pick Bruins. I don't know anything about any of this, but I think it's a team she likes. So, and yeah, let me know everything you think about in the comments below when it comes to NHL 24. Next game we played in July was Among Us. You guys know Among Us. Everybody knows Among Us. Among Us was so fucking big, and surprisingly, a lot of people still play this game. But in case you were living in a bunker for a while, Among Us is a top-down social deduction game where you are a member of a crew on a ship in which there are what are they called? What's the word I'm looking for?
Imposters?
Imposters, thank you. Oh my God. Imposters among you. There are imposters among you, and you have to find out who they are. So you are tasked with doing tasks across the ship to maintain whatever you're doing. And the imposters are going around sabotaging things. They are going around killing people and trying to eliminate your team, basically. You are able to report dead bodies or basically call timeout on anything that's happening, in which everybody discusses what they think is happening, who the imposters are. You start ejecting people or throwing them into lava or whatever the map you're on has different themes going on until you either figure out who the imposters were and you eliminate them, or you don't and they eliminate you. We both played it, and I start first?
Yep.
Okay, so this is Among Us. I think we've played it in the past and talked about it on the show.
Pretty sure.
I don't remember, but I'll keep it simple. I like social deduction games for the most part. I think a huge strength of this game is that it's all text-based, not voice-based, because a lot of the social deduction games I play are full of trolls. The ones where you can talk to each other. Does this have VoIP? I don't think it does.
I think everyone just uses Discord when they play it.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure.
But if you play it as intended, you just type it out. And I think that really alleviates a lot of the troll aspects of these kind of games, because they are fucking shit fests.
Especially because in this game, with the crossplay nature of it, you have a lot of consoles and mobile people, and it's probably easier for them to use shortcuts than to type out full sentences.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like typing stuff out with the controller. I'm like, I hate this. So that's kind of rough, but it does have shortcuts where you can, just pick what you want to say, which if you played enough, I think you'd be able to kind of memorize where things at.
Some people definitely did.
Yeah. But anyway, my point is just kind of going into this as a genre game. I like that it is text-based because you get to get away from all that trolly shit that gets really annoying. I've played Project Winter, which I think is a really good social deduction game, but it's like a little more complex. But you run into people who are just excited to be able to talk, and people are going to hear them. And so they say really fucking stupid shit, and if you respond to them in ways they don't like, they get pissed. And even if they're on your team, they'll kill you, which I've ran into multiple times. Someone will say something, I make fun of them, and then they get pissed, and the whole game's just fucked. And then, what was the other one I used to play that's really fucking good, but full of fucking trolls? It's that, like, spaceship sci-fi one. I don't remember. It's really good, though, but also full of trolls. So this game, you don't really run into it a whole lot, which I really like. It's very, very simple and straightforward, which I also really like, because a lot of these games can be a little complex in the things you can do, and it kind of takes away from elements of the mystery of figuring things out, I guess. This game, the tasks you do are very simple. It's like WarioWare shit. Like, you just walk over, connect some wires. There's nothing confusing about it. One of them's like flick switches until they're all green. Just really basic stuff. They're just tasks to keep you busy, so you're doing these things
With stuff to cover the screen, yeah.
With stuff to cover the screen, so it gives opportunities for the imposters to do their job, and then you run into the situations that allow you to gather information to start making these calls on who's who. I think it's funny because playing this game, I'm like, the graphics aren't great, but it's got a look to it. It kind of looks like a Flash game from back in the day. The UI definitely could use some work, but I'm sure people play the game.
Mobile.
Huh?
It's to help on mobile, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's always looked really bad ever since it came out, and it's an indie game made by like very few people, and they've done great now. But when it came out, I get why it looked the way it looked. But I just look at it, I'm like, man, this UI is so like cluttered and kind of shitty looking. But it's funny because even with all that stuff of like, oh, this game's super simple, super basic looking, the scenarios it allows to play out is where the kind of the genius and the simplicity is. I played it, and I didn't mention in when I was describing the game, it has like unlockable stuff, all cosmetic, nameplates, outfits. There's a lot that they've added since the last time I played this game. But also they have like a battle pass system, which I thought was cool too, because you get Cosmic Cubes, which I think you can buy with in-game currency and real money, it seemed. Different Cosmic Cubes, so they have multiple of them. You activate one, and you start working through it to get more cosmetics unlocked, and there's a lot of that in those too.
And that's how they do all the cross-promotional stuff too, like with other brands and stuff.
Yeah. That I was playing this for the channel, and I just kind of kept playing it because it's just like, it's such a simple game to play. There is thought into thinking about people, and especially when you're the imposter, you got to, be thinking a little bit more too. But
Definitely.
In gameplay, what you're doing with the controller translating to the screen, it's very simple. And so it's kind of just like a mental game. You're just kind of playing. It's really easy to just sit there and play it. Even if you lose, it never feels like, shit, like that really sucks. It's just like, okay, next round. You just keep playing.
Well, yeah, because like when you're a crewmate, the punishment is just that, your team has one less point, but you still are playing. Which is nice. You're not like, it's not like a battle royale where like you're booted out and then you just like quit the game and try to load into a new one. There's still stuff for you to do to help contribute towards the greater win. So.
And it's also fun too to just watch it play out, because you were playing in it, you might have died, but you're kind of invested in like if they figure it out or not. It's fun to watch, which is probably why I was so big in the streaming world for a while there, because it's just a fun thing to watch.
I still see people stream it from time to time. So.
Well, and like at first I thought like there was like limited rooms, because I was like, man, this one's like almost full. Oh, it's full. Oh, this one's almost full. This one's full. It's because they're filling up so quick that more rooms are showing up and being made, and those are filling up quickly. They're not sitting there stagnant waiting for people to get in there. They're filling up quick and disappearing.
Yeah, I was too slow so many times. It was stupid.
Yeah, so people are playing this fucking game. If you're like wondering if it's got like a healthy community, it seems like it. It feels like it. And yeah, I played 3 different sessions of this game for hours, and I had fun. I don't think there's really much more to talk about in terms of it. It's, if I had my pros, it's the scenarios and the fun of just figuring things out and going like, shit, they didn't figure that guy out. Oh, I'm dead, and I just gotta watch while they're trying to figure out this dude. Or when you're playing the imposter, and I think in this footage I was able to kill everybody, and it's just like feels awesome. Like, yeah, I fucking was able to basically survive.
Because that just gets harder the less people there are too.
Yeah.
So because everyone starts sticking together.
Yeah, I was sticking with people in one match, like me, and like at first this dude's like looking at me, and I'm like, I know you're not the imposter, so I'm just gonna stick with you. And then like in the thing, when everybody's like, who did it, blah blah blah, I'm like, me and this dude have been together the whole time, like, just trying to drive home that narrative, because I was like, I know for sure not the imposter. Like it just has like I love the tension of like, just it does such a good job at like not knowing who the hell the imposter is, except for you can tell there's a lot of new players playing right now too, because there's one match right in the beginning, this guy's walked over and he's a level 1, he's killed a dude right in front of everybody.
Learn that button quick.
And as soon as he killed the guy, just like bop, hit the button, and he just got launched. I was like, oh, okay, he figured that out. That's fine, he was learning the game. But yeah, the game's fun. It's a solid game.
Yeah.
My pros are the scenarios. My cons are, I think the UI is like atrocious. I also wish this game just had a quick match button. That'd be nice. And the modifiers. I haven't played since they added those. Those were interesting. There's like, I know there's been mods for the game on PC, but the game has like modifiers now.
There's some pretty crazy PC mods.
And people, were using them in different matches I played. Like one, like I think on default it'll show the color of people when they vote for people, but somebody turned that into everybody's just gray.
That's kind of smart.
It was interesting to play it that way, but the game is intended to see the colors, because that gives you information as well. There's data there, because sometimes someone's like, right when it starts, someone hits the button, someone goes, it was red, and people are like, how do you know? It's like, I just know, vote for him. And then like you'll see he's the only guy who voted for him. You're like, that guy's kind of fucking sus.
Right. But I think by making it gray, you're basically playing on hard mode.
Yeah, it makes it it harder for sure. So it's not a negative. It's just like, it's interesting because like you can't tell who's voting for who, and so now you get to play a different way. You're like, people don't know I'm voting for these people, so it's just interesting. Then there's like one that had like slow mo going on, and like, there's a lot of things going on. I'm glad to see the game's kind of evolved into just a better product. It's a better game than it was, and that's good. It doesn't seem like they've really fucked up anything, which is also good. So, I just wish they would clean up that UI a little bit. That's about it. So, thoughts?
I mean, I agree with everything you said, like pretty much to a T. So to add some stuff on, I think one of this game's biggest strengths is the sheer amount of customization that it has in both character and in gameplay modes and stuff. There are a lot of like toggles and like things you can switch to really kind of fine tune what kind of match you want to play. My complaint, and it's not the game's fault, but I played quite a bit this last month, and I only got the original map over and over.
Oh,
and
really?
over. No room I got into was playing the other maps.
I played the lava one, which I've seen before quite a bit,
and I've watched
the
a lot of
ship.
people stream this, so I'm familiar with a lot of the maps
Yeah.
at this point. But I didn't get to play them. I could have made a room. I'm just, obviously, for the sake of my experience, I only got to play the ship. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just a very easy to play game, easy to pick up and figure out, but the complexity comes into human nature, and it's a fun way to play. Also, the lack of voice chat does bring the social stress down, and so even people who maybe aren't like super into playing with strangers, like myself, I was able to play no problem because I didn't have to worry about listening to people.
Well, this is something I brought up like right in the beginning too, because it's so fucking important. I don't think games shouldn't have voice chat. Some games do that, but in a game where even if you're playing with friends, when you get into being deceptive with each other, if you're playing as an imposter, it adds a tension, and people, their human emotions will start coming out and feeling like they're being lied to. People start becoming assholes. Mm-hmm. And when you're playing the game as you should, if you're the imposter, you in voice chat start blaming somebody because you're trying to get them killed, and they know they're not the imposter, and they will actually get offended, and people start arguing and bitching and calling each other like, bitch and all sorts of stuff. And like that attracts certain people and gets rid of certain people. People don't want that kind of confrontation. They're like, I don't want people talking shit to me, basically, because I'm trying to play the game how it's supposed to be played. And so with it just being text, so much of that is just alleviated. You don't have someone just right when the match starts coming and just yelling random shit or trying to stir people up, or it's,
you can only get so much emotion from text.
Yeah, so. And these are quick burst sessions where like you're trying to just get the information out, get things figured out, and move on. You don't have time to sit there and get into a big fucking argument and stuff. So I think it's so popular in this genre because more people can play this.
Yeah, and well, games like it being cross-platform and on literally every platform known to man.
Yeah, they played it smart with this game.
It's huge. I had mobile people hosting me, Switch people, PC,
so weird.
PlayStation, Xbox. Like I played in a room hosted by every platform, man.
Does this game have cross progression? Can I play my PS5?
You have an account, yeah.
Save on mobile or something?
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure. So, really smart. The game design is just smart. It's simple. It's smart. It does exactly what it needs to do. I do think the UI looks kind of bad, but it makes sense when you play it on mobile, which I've done before, because you need big buttons to put your thumbs on. So, but on a PC or a controller, it's kind of clunky.
I was just looking at them like the right side has all this shit popping out, and over on the left side, if you want to see like the tasks, it's this huge fucking list. Yeah. And then you can get rid of it, which is fine. But then it just has this huge task button. I'm like,
and then this doesn't really go into the review too much, but just as a talking point on the game, I know on PC there's a bunch of mods and stuff like that. I have seen proximity chat mods, which I'm sure would be a lot of fun for this game.
Yeah.
I've also seen like zombie modes where basically you just have to survive the time limit with one imposter killing everybody. So, so there's a lot of cool stuff people have also done with this game because the game has inspired them to do so. So, I think that's great.
That zombie mode completely changed the game. I mean, I'd be interested in playing that.
It's just chaos. You just hear people screaming, especially if they're on voice chat. So.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I don't know. Lots of cool stuff you can do with this game. I wish I could have played some more of the maps this month. Again, I could have hosted, but my luck just went there because when I took the time to pick matches, they'd be filled before I could get in them. So,
yeah, I started looking for rooms that had like 5 out of 10, and I joined that, and they fill up really quick,
super fast. So
yeah, I never waited more than like
fantastic.
1 minute.
This game is not new, so
yeah, it's doing well.
Yeah, so yeah. Other than that, everything you said, I agree with. So.
Yeah. Okay, so then give us some recommendations.
Well, I think if you like the genre,
social deduction
games, this is like maybe not actually the OG, but I mean, I would say for a lot of people, this is like the original game for them. I don't know the history of the genre.
There was ones before this, but this is definitely like the one that brought it. It standardized it.
If you like games that have a lot of customization and in a fun way, because it's very like cartoony, so you can have like all sorts of silly things, like a little post-it note in your head that says you're dumb, for example, a plunger, or so, etc. So It has a battle pass system, which sounds like a turnoff, but it is. They're little, they're tiny, and really easy to get through.
And the game isn't stingy on giving you currency or XP.
Yeah, you can tell they'd rather you just play the game,
Yep.
and it's more of like almost like a leveling mechanic.
Yep.
Because it lacks that otherwise.
Yeah.
And so I think it's actually kind of a plus in this case.
Yeah, it does. It adds even more incentive to keep playing.
Yeah. And then, if you like party games to play with friends and stuff like that, this is like perfect because you can play private rooms as well and modify the rules however you want with your group. So I honestly think you can get hours and hours of entertainment. It's easy to revisit. So.
Yeah. Two things I'll add on to that is if you like board games or board game night stuff, I think this is a good game for you. Like if you like playing games like Clue with friends, this is a really good game for you to play for like, a party night with friends or board game night type thing. If you just have friends you want to play this game with, or if you just like that kind of experience, playing this game feels kind of like you're playing a board game, except for you're walking around and interacting with things. But the game's interactions, like I said, are not complicated. It's not what the game's about. It's not to test your skill at anything. It's just like keep you busy and then figure it out. And then the other thing is if you like social games, games where you are talking with people and interacting with people regularly. I know some people will play games just so they can talk to people, like that VR chat game back in the day. A lot of people played that just because they could talk with people.
VR chat's still huge, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But a lot of VR games. I remember playing some VR game where you're sitting at a gym and you can interact and all sorts of people are in there just hanging out and talking and stuff and just doing stuff. So if you like that kind of experience, it has kind of a similar vibe, especially because you're able to, when you finish a match, stay in the same server. So you can just keep playing with the same people if you want. And, it has kind of a social element where you play with people long enough, you start kind of, getting chatty with them while you're waiting for new matches to start, and it becomes fun. So if you're into social gaming, this is definitely something I'd recommend to you. So.
Yeah,
I think that's about all I got though. If you like like The Thing and like horror that has to do with like not knowing who the enemy is, you'll really dig this game. But you've probably played it if you're into that kind of thing. So because it has that kind of vibe where you're just like, I don't know who the killer is yet, and it's kind of adds a tension. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah. Anything else?
No.
All right. I think you graded this time.
I do. I think the game is exactly what it wants to be and needs to be. My only complaint, which I am going to take into consideration, is the UI. Not even just playing the game, but the main menus and stuff like that are a little clunky, and it could definitely be cleaned up a bit. So I'm going to give it a very strong B+.
Okay.
I do think it is a good game, but it has some stuff it could do to be a better game.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a strong B. I think it's a solid game. I think it's a lot of fun. The graphics are very simple, but they're fine, and the design is charming. It's iconic. People know what the Among Us characters look like. The UI, I think, is clunky, though, and could be done much better, especially now. They could do like a UI update. But, for what it offers in terms of social deduction, I don't think there's a game that does it better. There's games that are on par, and some of them, have some really creative stuff that this game doesn't do. But in terms of trying to figure out who is the person you got to figure out, I don't think a game does it as just straightforward and better than this game, really. So it does a really good job at that. And they've done a great job at supporting it. So, yeah, really, really strong B. I could maybe go B+, but right now I just kind of feel B. So, yeah, it was a good game. Fun. Yeah. I would definitely play it again. Like, it was not even a hassle to play it this month. Anytime I played it, I was like, yep, this game's fun. So, anything else?
Nope.
All right, last game. Oh, let us know in the comments. What do you guys think about Among Us? Have you been playing it for a long time? Did you play it, for the first time only recently? Have you never played it? If you haven't played it, why haven't you played it for some reason? And where do you like to play it on? What's your... I don't even know what to ask you about the game itself. What's your favorite thing? What's some stuff you like about the game? Yeah. Maybe there's some stuff you don't like about the game. Let us know as well. We were kind of minimal on our complaints about the game. And, yeah, what kind of mods do you use when you play it, if you do play with mods? Let us know everything you think about in the comments below when it comes to Among Us. Last game we played is Borderlands 3, and it's the third Borderlands. I'm sure you guys know what Borderlands is, but it's a looter shooter where you go from planet to planet as one of 4 classes, I believe, and you shoot stuff, you get loot, There's vehicles you drive around in. There's a story that I'm not. We'll talk about it. And yeah, each class is kind of a hybrid of multiple classes in this one, and they offer things like having a pet, having a mech you can be in, being able to do like magic, huge selection of weapons and grenades and shields and stuff that'll do many different things in this game. The game is full of loot, and it should, since Borderlands kind of has defined at least the minimum standard of what a looter shooter should be since Borderlands, the first one, honestly. And so it has a lot there. And yeah, it's a first person shooter. You can also play it up to 4-player co-op.
Yep.
Which we did not do this month. We both played it, and give me your impressions, Chevy, of Borderlands 3.
Okay. Well, for some context, I liked Borderlands. I loved Borderlands 2, like I think everyone did.
Borderlands 2 as well.
The pre-sequel, or whatever the hell it was called,
I forgot about that game.
did not like.
Yeah.
And I think part of that was because I played so much Borderlands 2 that I had some burnout, but also the mechanics were obnoxious, in my opinion, in that game. And then so coming to this game...
Just for the record, real quick, too, I just want to add, I also was not a big fan of the pre-sequel. I knew people who really liked it. I couldn't get into it just because I also had Borderlands 2 burnout really bad. I played the shit out of Borderlands 2, and pre-sequel didn't feel different enough to really get my interest. It felt kind of like a lesser Borderlands 2, in my opinion. So, anyway.
Going towards Borderlands 3, I had kept my eye kind of on it, but I still was kind of like I think kind of burnt out with the formula of it. And then it went to Epic, and I play my games on Steam for the most part. And I just don't want to buy things on multiple platforms if I don't have to. So I went ahead and passed on it. And then I heard from multiple people that the gameplay was fine and in fact better in some ways, but that the story was bad. And so I went in and I just passed on it. So this was my first time playing Borderlands 3, and I will say it plays exactly like Borderlands with some improvements, which is not a bad thing. So I did appreciate being able to traverse easier. That was very nice.
Yeah, vaulting and mantling is like such a small thing that makes it so much better feeling.
Very appreciated. My garbage controller aiming, I'm not going to blame the game for that, but I was having a hard time finding weapons I liked because I can't aim with a joystick.
It took me a second. I haven't played a shooter in a little bit on PS5, but I ended up getting more locked in and playing well. But one thing I'll give this game, because one of the Borderlands games we played, I think for the channel, because I played with a controller, it didn't feel very good, like in terms of like aiming stuff. And this one feels fine. So at the very least, it seems like an improvement.
Probably was pre-sequel because I don't own that on PC.
Yeah, I never bought that game, but I've played it. I think I played it with you and Chris.
I think so.
Yeah.
The visual style is on brand, which again is a good thing. Consistency is important in that regard.
It's just a little bit shinier than Borderlands 2.
Still has the and this is easy for them to screw up, especially with like constantly adding new weapons, stuff like that. But even the weapons still have like that like Borderlands look, which is nice to see.
One thing I don't know if you noticed or not, that they did in Borderlands 3 versus 2 that I like and kind of dislike, but I appreciate they did it, is they made every different company of the guns have different properties more so than 2. 2, it was like a stat thing. Like with this one, you'd assume it's going to do high power but low fire rate. But in this, they actually have different properties. So like if you have a Hyperion gun, when you aim, a shield comes out.
I noticed the shield, but I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, that's Hyperion. So. They all do that. So they really leaned further into all the companies are like their own types of guns to kind of add more to, the variety of weapons. Right. I kind of like that, but at the same time, too, I hate that every Hyperion weapon I pick up is going to do that because it just feels...
It kind of takes away from the random element of like...
You still get the random stats and stuff.
Right. But like there's still... Now there's
they start feeling kind of samey.
Yeah. No, I didn't get deep enough into it and pay enough attention apparently to notice that. Map design's pretty much exactly as I expect as well from Borderlands, which is good and bad. There are things I hate about all the Borderlands games when it comes to that, which is specifically a lot of going around things to get to objectives, but I mean that's just map design. I
Oh,
suppose.
dude, that first area. I did it in a prior playthrough on PC, and I did it fucking again, even though I've played this game before on PS5. In the first area, there's a indicator across the map, and I drive to the right because I'm like, I'll get over there eventually. It goes to a fucking dead end. You have to drive back around this mountain all the way around to get to that fucking point. I've done it twice playing this game.
Yeah, so stuff like that I hate. It just feels bad. I get it. They want to make interesting maps and like make you, honestly play it longer, but not a big fan. The story, at least a little bit I saw. I did not play very much. I'm going to be very honest with you guys. Still doing like the real person, weird cut-ins or whatever they do when specifically the sirens are talking to you, or in this case I can't remember which one her name is right now. Lilith, right?
They're all sirens at this point. Everyone's a siren.
And then like running into her, and then like the story is still continuing. Her still feeling like Lilith was nice to see.
Yeah.
And Claptrap. Claptrap feels like Claptrap, but he also feels like we've done him for so long that it's not like fun for me anymore.
He's not written that well in 3. He just kind of relies on what you expect from him. But there's things that happen in 2 that like carried forward thematically with his character that like added to the humor.
Yeah.
Kind of gave him more character. In this, he's kind of just there. He's kind of like a prop. Like, oh, it's Claptrap.
Yeah,
but like there's nothing.
I would say I wasn't like charmed by him very much when I was playing.
Yeah, but the writing overall, and it's because they switched writers.
Yeah.
The writing in 3 is not great.
Yeah.
And the writing in 1 doesn't exist. So.
Yeah, I who did I play?
I can't remember any of the class names right now for some reason.
Dude with the drone or whatever.
Oh, the guy who can go like invisible and stuff.
Yeah, I played him, and then of course I leaned into the drone stuff because
I'm surprised you picked him.
I play Siren all the time, so
I figured you would have picked the pet person.
no, nope. I wanted the quote unquote turret basically.
Yeah.
Because that was my second choice usually when I played the other games. I would usually play the Siren, and then on second character I'd play the turret person. And this time I was like, I'm just gonna do the turret guy, except for instead of turret, it's a drone. It was okay. I didn't get deep enough to like get any moves, but my problem a lot, and this was every Borderlands, these skill trees are okay. I never think like they're super interesting. There's always a bunch of stuff I have to get deeper in that I just don't care about a lot of times because it doesn't fit my playstyle. And this game really seemed like it was trying to incorporate a little bit into every skill tree.
Yeah.
And so I was just getting stuff I didn't care about to try to get to essentially the ultimate goal of that tree, which I did want, type of thing. So, yeah. So this isn't the game's fault, but playing this, I did realize that I think I'm just kind of done with Borderlands because I got bored really fast, and I don't think it's the game's fault. I think I just don't like the formula anymore.
Well, this game didn't even push the envelope very far. This still feels like Borderlands 2.5 a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know what they could really do to make it that much different, but it feels very safe, except for the story. I hate the story, but like gameplay wise, it's improved. But like you could have added these improvements to 2 as well as like a patch or a mod, and it would basically be the same game. Would have been nice to see them incorporate some like big new mechanics or things to do. I don't know. It even in the design, which I don't mind because Borderlands 2 is a lot of fun to play, but it still I feel like I'm playing an older game when I play it. Like the map design and stuff is really set up kind of like an older time.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know I was sitting down. I was playing it, and then I was kind of just waiting to see if I was going to enjoy myself, and I just kind of wasn't. And I'm not going to dock the game for this. This is definitely a me thing, I think. Just kind of throwing it out there that I didn't give it a very long shot because I just didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
So,
I almost did with the NHL, but then I kept playing it, and I was like, no, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I played that, and I probably played Among Us the most out of all 3 games, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it felt fine. It felt as I expected it to, and the initial story wasn't really hooking me, but I didn't think it was super bad yet. But I had heard multiple times. So I will try not to consider that too much because I didn't experience enough of it myself. So.
Yeah. Okay, so for the record, I bought this when it came out. I played through it. I beat it. I was hoping to have the same experience of Borderlands 2, where I just grinded the fuck out. Was looking for the best, variants of the best guns and kill the same boss over and over and over again to get the best shit. I ended up not doing that when I beat Borderlands 3, and maybe they added some stuff later, but I do think they stopped supporting the game pretty quickly, which is surprising because they supported Borderlands 2 for a long time. So I think players just kind of fell off like I did. I don't think the end game was designed that well, and it was also overly designed. They're like constantly balancing things and changing things. It felt like you're playing an MMO as opposed to in Borderlands 2. It felt like you played like a finalized game, and even if you break the game, that's just how it's designed. And it's fun. This game doesn't have that feel. So just kind of adding that context. I have played this game. I've beaten it. So some of my opinions when it comes to story was not experienced in this month, but we'll definitely take we'll play a part because I know where it goes. So anyway, the exclusive PS5 things, to my opinion, because I didn't play this on PS5 originally, worth mentioning is I think the control scheme is good. I think it plays well on a controller. It has some interesting vibrations that happen when you play, which is cool. Also NHL. I don't really talk about it a whole lot, but every once in a while I like when people still mess around with the DualSense because it's got some pretty cool features people don't use. So that's fine. I don't need it either. So yeah, the controller was good. The controls are good. It looks, as a game, fine, but it looks pretty decent. Looks pretty much like how I remembered it looking on PC, on PS5, so that's good. That's about as far as that ends in terms of what I experienced there. Otherwise, it is a competent shooter, feels good to play. Because it does rely on hitting people in weak spots, it is satisfying to kill people. It's not just shoot them until they die. It can be, but you're aiming for heads, you're aiming for like the weak points, and so it feels gratifying when you kill things in a more efficient way. The variety of weapons is awesome. I love games with loot. The channel that we're on is Tasty Loot Gaming. I like loot. It was part of the joke when me and Josh created the name of the channel. They're like, we like loot. So this game's got plenty of loot. It's definitely appreciated. I do find it intriguing that they leaned into the companies having more specific differences, and I do kind of like it, but I also kind of don't like it. It's a really weird feeling, but not enough to hate this game. But it's just an interesting change that I'm just like, I don't know if I prefer this or not. The vehicle combat is fun enough. But because the maps are designed very similarly to Borderlands 1 and 2, it never feels like it really is fully realized. It just is like a quick way to get from A to B, and you can shoot some stuff on the way there. But I feel like there's some cool stuff you could do maybe in a newer game where you're actually using the vehicle in a more open area and doing something that's not just killing vehicles that have horrible AI and drive into rocks, or just driving over skags and shit. So definitely room for improvement there, but overall fine. The graphics are also fine. They could be better. This game, and I'm not complaining, I don't think the game looks bad, but it does still look like Borderlands 2, just a little shinier, and I would have liked to see a bigger jump in graphics. There's a lot of technologies they could have been using. They're very current in gaming, and when it came out, current at the time, that they could have done that they just didn't. It looks like an older game, in my opinion, just a slightly updated version of Borderlands 2. Yeah. Again, with the loot, though, a lot of ways to play, a lot of different gear to throw on your character. Grenades in Borderlands have always been really cool, so I like the variety there and different ways to augment your build. Skill trees are decent. They're never super exciting. They do feel a little leaded on, too. Like, one of the characters I was playing was like a lot of fire stuff, so it definitely wanted me to spec into fire stuff. The other skill trees didn't have that, but it felt like I'm either going to be like a fire caster type character, or I'm going to be like a defensive character. They're fine. They're not bad skill trees, and you can really get in there and make something that feels overpowered. But I never feel like stoked about when I unlock something in the skill trees. They're fine. For the record, I did play, I forgot her name, the mech character in this one, or this time around playing it, and she's fun. I like that you can, while you're shooting stuff, just hop into a mech and be able to tank rounds for a little bit and just do more damage. It's satisfying. It's not super exciting, but it's cool. One thing I would have liked to see, just because there is a moment where you pause to get into the mech and you pause to get out of it. I think it would have been cool when you end the mech to hit a button and eject out of there, so you can keep the flow going. That would have been kind of cool, because it feels kind of weird that you have to like stop and power down. But it's not even a nitpick. It's just like it'd be cool to see that. Just the thought. The elephant in the room though for me is the story. Borderlands 1 like basically had like, hey, there's a vault, go find it. You find it, and then that's the end. It's like, oh, okay. There's lore, of course, but
it all happens at the end, though.
They didn't tell a good story in Borderlands 1. It was just a fucking fun game. Borderlands 2 surprised everybody because it had like a really good story. It's not like, the most amazing thing ever, but it's better than that game deserved. It was going to be a fun game, but they made like a story that had interesting characters, character growth. Borderlands has character growth. What the fuck's going on here? Had loss in it, had a villain that was a lot of fun, had humor that landed. The writing on Borderlands 2 was just like better than that game deserved, and I really believe that now because Gearbox doesn't really make like amazing games. They've made a couple of them, but that's it. Most of their games come out, they're not that great. It's kind of weird. So, like, I understand why they really want to milk Borderlands because it fucking sells. But it's kind of amazing that only, like, one of these games... No, the newest Tiny Tina, actually, that was pretty fun. I played through that. And I was actually doing the end game on that one. That was a lot better. In fact, I think the newest Tiny Tina game was better than Borderlands 3, but I'll get there. But the writing was a little more fun, too. But this game's writing is just, like, fucking... It feels like... When it came out, somebody who was in their 50s was trying to write a story they thought was going to appeal to a younger Gen Z at the time. And they're so out of the loop on what the fuck's going on with younger people that they just like did really basic concepts like, oh, what if the villains were like Twitch streamers? But here's what I think Twitch streamers are like as someone who doesn't watch Twitch. And so they act in these like really dorky ways. They're not compelling. They don't feel like real villains. They just feel fucking like cartoon characters. And then a lot of laziness stuff I kind of alluded to earlier, but just really playing with themes that we've already seen in the past games, like when it comes to the sirens and just like not being able to like get away from that. That's like front and center, like the main thing still. It's like, okay, there's like super people, cool, whatever. Like, what else you got? You got anything else? And then like a lot of the characters they introduce, and they always show up and like, this guy's a badass, this chick's a badass, and then they're around for like 5 seconds, and they're really boring. They don't say anything interesting. They're not cleverly written, and it's just like I don't even want to fucking be around. I'm like, I feel like I'm wasting my time. Every time I got to have a cutscene happen or like talk to somebody, I want to just keep going and get the loot, 'cause that's the fun part. But the story is like, it just really feels like I'm wasting my fucking time. Playing it this month, I felt like every time a story part was happening, I was wasting my fucking time. Like, skip, let's go, dude. This is so boring. So I really don't like the story. I think it's... and the characters. I don't think the characters are well written either. The performances are fine. There's nothing wrong with the people playing them or the character designs. It's just whoever wrote this shit, like they really missed the mark. I don't think they fully understood how elevated Borderlands 2 elevated the series in terms of its story, lore, characters, stuff like that. I think they just didn't understand the assignment. I don't think they nailed it. And I think the story is like when you beat it, it's like, man, this fucking, that's it. That's the end. That's what you did. You had somebody say something that felt like I was watching a cartoon for 10-year-olds. I don't know. I really hate it. And just playing it again. I didn't beat it this month, but playing through it again, hearing it again, I'm like, yeah, I definitely don't like this. This kind of solidifies this. So in just kind of ending this, the gameplay does seem improved in most ways. Small things like vaulting and mantling is huge. And I think most first-person shooters should have that. This game needed it. It has it. Great. Plethora of things to find as a proper looter shooter. Still, I think one of the best in terms of the amount of loot you can find. there's not a lot out there that offer as much stuff to find and make builds off of as Borderlands. The classes are fun, although I do think they are a little too multi-classed, that they all kind of feel like they can be a lot of things, and they feel less specific, I guess. So I would like to see more specific builds with more expanded skill trees, maybe. That would be more interesting to me than this, like, if you play this, you can play it any way you want, no matter what. And it's like, okay, well, that's kind of boring. Although the things they do, I think, are good too. So, the mech, I think, is cool. The pet's cool. The guy with the flying drone or turret at this point is interesting. So there's some cool stuff going on there. And then, writing's terrible. Graphics are fine. So, yeah. I wasn't bored playing it, but I hated segments of it because I didn't want to listen to just terrible writing. So, yeah. You got anything else? All right, let's jump into recommendations. I would recommend this to anybody who likes first-person shooters, anybody who likes looter shooters for sure. You will not be bored playing this at the very least. Maybe you like the story, I don't know, but you probably won't like it maybe. Multiplayer shooters, it's 4-player, which is fucking awesome, especially if you like cooperative shooters. I'd recommend it to you as well. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be bored playing this game. You might have your criticisms like I do, but it's not a boring game to play. There's plenty of stuff to do, and it's a great game to get free on PlayStation Plus because there's many hours of gameplay here. So that's cool. See, if you like loot, multiplayer shooters, co-op shooters, first-person shooters, builds, classes. Basically, if you like games like Diablo but a first-person shooter, I would recommend this game to you. I would love to recommend it to people who like zany, fun humor and stuff like that, but I don't. Personally, I think it's terrible. Yeah. So,
if you just wanted more Borderlands, you're going to get more Borderlands. So,
true.
Otherwise, I don't really think I have anything else to add to that.
Yeah. I grade, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna go with. It's a fun game. It's a fun game. I just have strong opinions about certain parts about it, so I'm gonna give it a light B- as well. It's not a C game. It's better than that, but it's not like an amazing game either. And you end up playing through it, and you kind of feel deflated. It doesn't have the excitement of Borderlands 2, I guess. So, yeah, light B-. It's a fun game.
Yeah, I agree that I don't think it's a C game.
Yeah,
it is a full package.
If there's something between C+ and B-, I would put it there, but it's not a C game.
Yeah, and obviously I have to struggle with the fact that my personal boredom is not necessarily the game's fault.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna agree with you then. I think B- I think is pretty fair. I was kind of thinking B, but I also did not play enough to really have like a strong opinion. So yeah, I'll just kind of lean into what you're saying there. Also good B-.
Yeah, without the older feeling design of like the world and map and stuff like that, and the story and characters being bad, I would probably give this game a B+. But because of that stuff, it knocks it down to a B- for me. So, because otherwise, the shooting feels good. So
you beat it.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I wouldn't have played through it completely if I wasn't.
I think that's worth noting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just never came back and played it. I never played other characters. I tried to, and I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, but I would argue at that point you got your money's worth if you made it through the whole game. So
yeah,
in the instance obviously where you bought it before PlayStation. So.
And another recommendation that's not related to this game fully. If you played Borderlands 3 and you felt disappointed by it, I would recommend you play the Tiny Tina game that came out after it. I think it's a better game. I think the humor's better. I think the story's more fun, and what they did with the fantasy elements makes the game feel fresh and interesting again. So, yeah. Okay, so B- and a B-. Anything else?
I think that covers it.
All right, let us know in the comments what do you guys think about Borderlands 3. And if you disagree with me, that's completely fine. I'm not here to change people's minds, and I don't need my mind changed either.
Reviews at the end of the day are subjective.
Yeah, if you like Borderlands 3's story and you really like it, I'm completely happy for you. I wouldn't want to change your mind.
You're right for yourself. and
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
right for himself.
Yeah.
So
But I know a lot of people also really disliked Borderlands 3, so, I don't feel like I'm alone here. But at the same time, I want people to feel welcome to be like, I liked it. That's cool, dude.
Yeah,
Fucking,
yeah, for sure.
I want you to like the games you play. So,
not here to fight.
yeah, exactly. But let me know in the comments what you think about Borderlands 3. What are some of your favorite things about it? What's the classes you enjoyed playing? What do you think about, like I was talking about before, the different companies having their specializations? Like, I'm kind of like mixed on it. Like, where do you land on that? And what are some of your favorite things they brought to the game since Borderlands 2? What's your favorite Borderlands? And it's probably 2. And yeah, let us know what you're thinking about in the comments below when it comes to Borderlands 3 and all the games we talked about. And that's going to do it for this episode of Plus Club for July. As always, thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you for joining me, Chevy, for this. And stay tuned. We will have Game of the Month coming out really soon for Elden Ring and Shadow of the Erd Tree. We'll be reviewing it. I'll be able to do a full review on it mostly. I haven't fully beaten the DLC, but I've played quite a bit of it. So hopefully I'll beat it by then. I don't know. And yeah, we'll talk about that then. So I've been Seth, this is Chevy, and until the next episode, have a good one, guys, and take it easy.